Let me state something right out of the gate. Today we're going to talk about money. And just to get you thinking about the subject, let me share a few other fun terms that people use as a nickname for money. Now you've probably heard a lot of them. Benjamins, moolah, bacon, cabbage, bread, paper, bands, hundos, cheddar cheese. The list goes on and on. We have a lot of names for money because people talk a lot about it. And if you're anything like me, just hearing the word money brings up all kinds of thoughts and questions. Is it bad to care about money? Is it wrong to want more money? Is it okay to talk about money in church? First of all, it's totally okay to talk about money in church. So that's exactly what we're going to do. Now here's the thing. No matter who you are, there are a few things that are true for all of us when it comes to money. Number one is that we all wish we had more of it. You have some stuff that you'd love to get and do, right? There are clothes and shoes you want, that PlayStation, there's stores and vacations and cars and a whole number of events and places and things you want to go to, right? More money equals better things, and we all want better things. Or maybe money isn't even a source of stress or tension in your family. Whatever the situation is, we all feel some level of want because when it comes to money, we all have an appetite for more. And an appetite is something that's never fully satisfied. We think that if we had a magic amount of money or we got certain things that we would never need more, but that's not how it works, right? Eventually there'll be something else that we want. The cycle does not end. Now the second thing that's true for all of us is this. Number two, money can be frustrating. Some of us feel trapped because we don't have a lot of money and we don't have any control over the amount that our family has. Some of us can't work, don't work, and we don't get a say in how our parents spend the money. Maybe we work, but the money goes toward taking care of the family or saving for college. Maybe you have enough, but you never have extra to do those things like travel or eat out, the fun things, right? Maybe money causes tension or argument in your family, and you feel like if you had more, the fighting would stop. Or maybe you think that if money wasn't such a source of stress, you and your siblings wouldn't have to worry about some of the things that you worry about. Now, if we allow ourselves to be honest about how all of that makes us feel, we might say it makes us feel a lot of things. Angry, maybe at God for not providing what we need. Angry at our parents for making certain choices that have caused our family to have the financial struggles that we do. Or maybe even angry if your parents have to spend all the money and all their time making money and not much time with you. Maybe you're angry at the world because you look around and it all seems unfair. Everybody has, but not me. Angry, judgmental, or towards others who seem to have more than enough, but don't have to work as hard as you do, right? Or maybe they take it for granted. Now, all of those things can create tension, which can make us think that money is bad. But here's the truth. Money is complicated, but that doesn't make it bad. And in fact, because it's so complicated, it matters even more that we learn to see it and talk about it in a healthy way. In case you thought that God doesn't care about money, consider this. The Bible mentions money more than 2,000 times. 2,000 times. That means we aren't the first people to struggle with our thoughts and feelings about money. Money has been complicated for as long as it has existed. We are going to look at a verse today from a letter written by one of Jesus' followers named Paul to a guy named Timothy. Timothy was kind of a son to Paul in a way. So when Paul wrote to Timothy, it was like someone who was wiser, who wanted what was best for Timothy. And this is what Paul says. He says, Timothy, for the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. And some people who are eager for money have wandered away from the faith and have pierced themselves with many griefs. 1 Timothy 6, verse 10. Wandered away from the faith? Pierced themselves with many griefs? I know that sounds like a lot, but we'll get there in a second. The first thing that the verse points out is that money isn't the problem. It's the love of money that's the problem. And when Paul says a love of money, he's talking about an unhealthy obsession with money that's never satisfied. Like when your appetite begins to control you. It's on your mind all the time. It's all you can think about. And when it becomes that big of a voice in your life, it can lead you to make decisions that you're going to regret later. To be clear, I'm not talking about when there's a legitimate need for more money. We all need money to meet our basic needs. Paul is talking about when all of your needs are taken care of, and then some, and still these people's whole motivation in life is to hoard and chase money to the point that they're never satisfied. An obsession or a love of money can become a problem because it can lead you to make compromises on things you might otherwise have seen as wrong, all to satisfy your appetite for more. Things like greed, stealing, jealousy, lying, those are all connected to a love of money. And when Paul said pierced with many griefs, basically he's saying these things will come back to hurt you. They are consequences, either in your life or to your character. Paul says that loving money is at the root, the start of evil. And that may seem a little dramatic. Is it really evil to get the latest iPhone? No, Paul is saying that if you find something in the evil in the world, there's a good chance that when you track it back, you trace the evil thing down to its root or its cause, you'll find someone loving money or the power that they feel from having money. The word he uses here for evil simply means things that are not as they should be. A love of money can make us see things that are not okay as okay. For example, we can find ourselves basing people's worth as humans on how much money they have or don't have. Or we might lie about how many hours we worked to get more money on our paycheck. Or we make some decisions at someone else's expense because it benefits us. None of that is okay, but a love of money can lead to it. So what is the alternative to having an unhealthy love for money? Well, Jesus tells us, and Matthew wrote it down. He records Jesus saying this: "Do not store up for yourself treasure on earth, where moths and rats destroy it and thieves can break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where thieves do not break in and steal, and moths and vermin do not destroy. Because where your treasure is, your heart will be also." Matthew 6, verse 19 through 21. The first part of that verse makes one point. Every material thing on earth will eventually be trash or will be taken from you. It's a reminder to challenge what we value. And the last part of that verse is key. The material things that take up your thoughts, your desires, your time, and your energy, that's what's most important to you. If an unhealthy obsession with money or the material things money gives you takes up that much space in your life, you're following something that's not going to satisfy you. An appetite for material things is an acquired taste. When you were born, you didn't want anything but love, food, and sleep. But now we want a new iPhone, we want the more money, we want that latest thing, whatever it is. And we want whatever outfit will get us noticed, right? But go with me on this. What's the last thing you bought that really satisfied you? And how long were you good before you wanted something else? That's the thing about stuff. Guys, when we don't have that thing, when it's just out of our reach, when it's just behind a door or sealed in a box, it seems like that, right? That's the one thing I need, and when I have that thing, I'll be happy. I won't ever want anything else, ever again. For now. So when we get that thing, and then we're cool for a minute, but then as long as there are other closed boxes and other doors, we will always want more. Our appetite continues to grow. But here's the thing. Appetites can change. Not overnight. You see, contentment, choosing not to be controlled by the extras in life, takes practice and maturity. Contentment is an acquired taste. The more you look for contentment, when you crave it and desire it, the better you get at noticing the difference between temporary fulfillment and eternal value. You get better at making decisions about how to view money, not as a magic cure for all of your deep human desires like acceptance or love or purpose. You begin to see it as a tool to meet your basic needs, to serve others, and provide enjoyment, not fulfillment, in life. Fill your hands with material things and you're going to realize it's a lot harder to serve others with clenched fists. It's harder to worship with your hands full of things. And it's a lot harder to give when we have a death grip on our stuff. At the end of the day, you have a choice. You can own money or money can own you. Again, just so we're clear, I'm not talking about those of us who need money for basic needs like food and a home. Needing money for those things is tremendously stressful and it takes a lot of space in your life, and it should. Everyone deserves those things, but the truth is money might be able to give your family a stable home and food in the fridge, but it can't give your family happiness, That's what we're talking about. Feeding that craving for more and more money to buy ourselves happiness and satisfaction just doesn't work. We know this already, right? Because after we get a new pair of Jordans, we don't stop wanting shoes. We love our iPhone 11 until the iPhone 12 comes out. And after we go on a trip with friends and family, we start planning the next one. Now that's not bad, but it reminds us that the happiness we get from those things doesn't last. We're feeding an appetite, and the more you feed the appetite, the more it increases and the less satisfied it stays. Think about things you wanted in the past as a kid. You told your parents that if you got it, you would never ask for anything else ever again, right? And today, you don't even remember what those things were because that's what an appetite does. It gets so strong, it makes you believe that feeding it is the only thing that matters until you feed it. And then in no time at all, you forget about it because you've moved on to wanting something else. Now instead, Jesus is telling us to focus our hearts on eternal things, things that matter, things that last. You can't measure or count or see or touch those things, but in the end, they make your life better. Things like love and compassion and kindness and honesty, selflessness, service, those are eternal things. Those are things that build as blocks to make you into the kind of person you want to be, and it lasts. Now, that doesn't mean you can't ever have anything you want ever again, and it doesn't mean that you need to feel guilty for buying a new shirt, but it just means that we need to understand the reason behind the want. Why do we want this thing? What do we think it will do for us? Do we see this thing as being the answer to how we see ourselves or the way we want the world to see us? When we understand that we're looking for money to give us something that Jesus has already given us, it changes how we view money. For example, maybe you want new shoes to fit in. Now that's okay, but just know that you already belong to Jesus and material things can't take that away or add worth to who you are. Maybe you want that nice car because you want everyone to think your family has it all. And again, you're just as important and loved and valued whether you have the car or not. So when we look to money to give us something it was never meant to give us, we will end up disappointed and stuck in this endless cycle of growing appetites, shrinking happiness. And money is meant to be a resource for a day-to-day life, not the source of our worth as a human being. Money cannot deliver what eternal things that Jesus Christ can. Like the fact that you'll never be alone if you have Jesus, that God loves you unconditionally because you belong to Him, or that you were made with a purpose to help make the world better. And in the end, money is a big deal. It matters. We need it to meet our basic needs. Having it makes life so much easier to navigate. And wanting it isn't bad, but there are things money can't buy. It can't make you more or less of a person. It can't provide real friendship and community. We can't give it more power than God intended for it to have. Instead, we have to keep it in perspective. Here's a simple way to remember it. You can own money, or money can own you. So as you think through your attitude about money, take a look at your heart and ask yourself these questions. Number one, what do you expect money to do for you? What do you want from it? Are you hoping for happiness, to be more popular, make your family get along? Or do you want to stop worrying about the future? Is what you're wanting a temporary thing or an eternal thing? Money can give you a boost for a minute in your reputation, but not forever. And at the same time, if you're living in fear of your basic needs not being taken care of, there's nothing wrong with wanting and needing those needs to be provided for. Money can do that, which is why the next question is important to ask. And that is, can money give you what you really want? Yes, money can do some things. It can supply basic needs, and that's extremely important. Money does matter, but it can't do everything. And when you understand what it can and can't do, you can keep an appetite for more of it from taking over your heart. What change do you need to make in your attitude towards money? Maybe it's changing the way that you use the money you have. Maybe it's addressing some of the anger that you feel around that topic. Maybe it's asking for help and getting the real needs of your family met. Wouldn't it be awesome if when we reach the end, we looked back and realized that we had our values set on something more eternal? How much more satisfying that would be when we reach the end of our lives. Money is important, but what's even more important is your attitude towards it.